How do you sit at a holiday table and stay calm when your own child tells you the best gift is for you to disappear? Why do people act brave when they think your help is automatic and your feelings do not matter? What I did next looked like kindness on paper until they opened what I left on her desk. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible stories. My name is Franklin Hughes. I am 62 years old. I used to run crews on building sites. I learned a long time ago that loud people are not always strong people. Some people just like the sound of their own voice. This year I went to my daughter Sophia's house for Thanksgiving. I did not go because I expected a warm welcome. I went because I still believed I should show up. I kept telling myself that a father does not quit on his child. I also told myself that one awkward holiday does not mean the whole relationship is broken. I kept those thoughts in my head like small stones in my pocket. I drove there in the afternoon. The neighborhood was quiet and clean. The lawns looked like magazine lawns. The houses were close enough to hear each other's doors. I parked on the street because the driveway was already full. When I got out, the air smelled like wood smoke and something sweet from the oven. I had two things with me. One was a foil pan of roasted vegetables I made in my apartment kitchen that morning. The other was a plain envelope in my coat pocket. The envelope was thin. It was not fancy. It was just something I planned to hand to Sophia at the end of the night, like a normal father giving a simple gift. When I walked up to the door, I could hear laughter through the glass. It sounded easy. It sounded like the kind of laughter people use when they feel safe in a room. I rang the bell. The door opened, and Trevor, Sophia's husband, stood there with a smile that was polite and tight. He said hello and told me to come in. He took the pan from my hands and thanked me in a way that sounded practiced. His eyes moved past me like he was checking who else might be behind me. Then he stepped aside, and I walked into the warm, bright house. The living room was already full. Coats were piled on a chair. Shoes were lined up near the wall. A football game played on the television, but no one was really watching. People were holding drinks and talking in small circles. I recognized a few faces from past holidays. Neighbors, a coworker of Trevor, a couple of Sophia's friends. Then I saw Harold Vance. He was Sophia's stepfather. He stood near the kitchen entrance like he owned the space. He had a glass in his hand and a shirt that looked expensive without trying too hard. He was laughing loudly and patting someone on the shoulder. He noticed me and gave me a smile that did not reach his eyes. He said something friendly enough, and he called me by my first name like we were old pals. He also spoke just loud enough for the people around him to hear. It felt like he wanted an audience for every small interaction. I nodded, said hello, and kept moving. Sophia came out of the kitchen a minute later. Her hair was perfect. Her makeup looked like it took time. She hugged me quickly, one arm, like she was checking a box. She told me she was glad I came. Her eyes kept drifting toward the stove and the counters, like I was one more thing on her task list. I handed her the pan. She said thank you and told me to put my coat on the rack. The hug was already over. She was already turning away. I followed her into the dining room because that's where people were gathering. The table was set with matching plates and folded napkins. There were candles, but they were not lit yet. There was a centerpiece that looked like it came from a store display. Everything was planned. I looked for my place at the table. I found it at the far end near the wall, with my chair a little tighter than the others. It was not beside Sophia. It was not beside Trevor. It was not near the kids who were laughing and telling stories. It was the kind of seat you give someone when you do not want to talk to them much. Harold had a seat near the middle, close to Sophia. Trevor was on Sophia's other side. Harold's seat had more space. His napkin was folded in a fancy way. There was a place card with his name. My place had no card. I sat down without making a face. I pulled my chair in. I put my hands on my lap. I watched the room the way I used to watch a job site, calm and quiet, taking in who was moving where and who was in charge. People started sitting. The room got louder. Plates clinked. Someone asked for extra chairs. Someone laughed too hard at a joke that was not that funny. I noticed how often Harold spoke. I noticed how people leaned toward him when he talked. He did not just talk, he performed. He told stories about trips, about business dinners, about a new car someone bought. He said names of places like everyone should be impressed. He smiled and said he was grateful for family, grateful for being able to provide stability, grateful for having a home where everyone could gather. When he said those things, his hand touched the back of Sophia's chair. I watched Sophia during that. She smiled, she nodded, she looked proud. It was not pride in a quiet way, it was pride like a badge, like she was glad to be seen near him. The food came out in waves: turkey, potatoes, stuffing, rolls, sauces in little bowls. Sophia moved around the table, serving and directing. Trevor carried plates when she told him to. Harold stood and made a show of helping, but he mostly stayed in the best light, where people could see him. When the turkey was carved, Harold made another speech. He said it was good to gather with people who matter. He said family is about showing up. He said he believed in building a life that looks solid from the outside and feels solid on the inside. The word building landed in my ears in a strange way. I spent decades building things with my hands. I built houses that other people lived in. I built offices where other people worked. I did not talk about it much, I just did it. Watching him use the word like a decoration made my stomach tighten, but my face stayed still. Sophia then said she wanted everyone to share something they were thankful for. People went around the table. One person said they were thankful for their job. Another said they were thankful for good health. Someone else said they were thankful for friends who feel like family. When it was Sophia's turn, she looked around the room like she was hosting a show. She said she was thankful for people who support her. She said she was thankful for the kind of parents who step up. She said she was thankful for stability, for guidance, and for someone who always knows how to handle things. Her eyes went to Harold when she said that. She reached toward him and touched his hand. Harold smiled like a man who thinks he just won something. I waited for her eyes to come to me. I did not need a big speech. I did not need applause. I just wanted a small sign that she remembered who drove her to school, who stood in the rain at soccer fields, who fixed broken appliances, who worked overtime so bills got paid. I wanted a simple nod. Her eyes did not come to me. People ate. People laughed. A neighbor asked me what I used to do for work. I answered in a short, polite way. I said I ran construction crews. They said that sounded tough. Harold jumped in and said he admired hardworking men and that society needs people like that. He said it like he was giving me a compliment, but it also sounded like he was putting me in a box. Trevor asked Harold about his investments. Sophia asked Harold about a new project. The room leaned toward Harold again and again. I ate slowly. I smiled when people looked at me. I kept my hands steady. I did not drink much. At one point, I tried to share a small story from when Sophia was little. It was nothing dramatic. It was about a Thanksgiving when the power went out, and we ate by flashlight and laughed because the turkey was still warm. I said it was one of my favorite memories. Sophia's face tightened. She said, in a flat way, that we did not need to go into old stories tonight. She said this was a fresh start kind of holiday. She said everyone should focus on being positive. The table went quiet for half a second. It was not a long silence, but it was enough. Then someone changed the subject quickly. I nodded like I understood. I took another bite and let the moment pass. Later, as plates were being cleared, someone asked Sophia what she wanted for Christmas. They said she had everything and must be hard to shop for. Sophia laughed. She looked around, enjoying the attention, and said the best gift would be for certain stress in her life to disappear. Then she looked right at me. She said the best gift would be for me to be gone. No one gasped. No one protested. A few people laughed in an unsure way, like they were trying to decide if it was a joke. Harold smiled into his glass. Trevor stared at his plate. I felt my chest go tight. Not in a dramatic way. It was like a door closing inside me. I did not raise my voice. I did not slam a hand on the table. I did not ask what she meant, because what she meant was clear. She wanted the picture without me in it. She wanted the story where Harold was the center and I was a footnote. I looked at Sophia and nodded once. I said I understood. I said I did not want to be a burden. I said I would head out and let them enjoy the evening. Sophia blinked like she did not expect me to agree so fast. Then she shrugged like she had already moved on. She said okay and told me to drive safe. I stood. I pushed in my chair. I picked up my coat from the rack. My hands were steady. My face was calm. Inside, something was settling into place. As I walked toward the door, I saw a few guests avoid my eyes. One older woman gave me a look that was part apology, part fear, like she was glad it was not her at the end of the table. Harold stayed where he was. He did not follow. He did not have to. He believed he had already won. Trevor walked behind me into the entryway. He said he was sorry in a low voice. He said Sophia was stressed. He said the holidays bring out a lot. He did not say he disagreed with her. He did not say it was wrong. He just said words that cost him nothing. I told him it was fine. I told him I hoped they had a good night. I stepped outside. The cold air hit my face. The porch light made the driveway shine. I walked to my car without rushing. I got in and closed the door softly. Through the window I could see the warm house, the moving shadows, the life continuing without me. I sat there for a moment with both hands on the steering wheel. I did not cry. I did not shake. I just breathed and listened to the quiet inside the car. Then I started the engine and pulled away. When I got back to my apartment that night, I did not turn on the television. I did not call anyone. I took off my coat, washed my hands, and stood in my small kitchen like I was waiting for instructions. The vegetables I brought were gone from my hands, but the feeling stayed. My place at that table stayed with me, the far end, the tight chair, the way my daughter looked through me like I was part of the wall. I sat at my kitchen table and tried to name what hurt the most. It was not the words, even though the words were sharp. It was the confidence behind them. Sophia said it like she knew I would accept it, like she knew I would swallow it and come back next month with another pan of food and another quiet smile. Like she knew I was safe to push because I would not push back. That confidence did not come from one holiday. It was built over years. Sophia is 34 now. When she was little, she used to fall asleep on the couch with her hair stuck to her cheek. She used to leave small drawings on the counter, stick figures holding hands, bright suns in the corner. I kept those drawings in a box for a long time. Back then, she used to tell people I could fix anything. A bike chain, a leaking sink, a broken cabinet door. She believed I was solid. Her mother left when Sophia was still young. I do not say that with anger. It is just what happened. We were not good together. We were tired and tense, and we said too many things we could not take back. One day she packed bags and said she needed a different life. Sophia cried, and I held her and told her we would be okay. I meant it. I made a schedule. I found a neighbor who could help after school. I learned how to cook more than eggs and toast. I learned how to braid hair badly and still do it with care. I worked long hours. I ran crews and watched timelines. I did not have the luxury of falling apart. Bills did not pause. Sophia needed rides and clothes and school supplies. I did the quiet things, parent meetings, dentist appointments, nighttime fevers. I did not post about it. I did not talk about it in speeches. I just did it because I was her father. For a long time, Sophia and I were a team. Then, when she was a teenager, her mother came back into town with Harold. Harold had money. Harold had a clean car and polished shoes. Harold spoke smoothly. He did not sweat. He did not smell like concrete dust at the end of the day. He took Sophia to restaurants where the plates looked like art. He bought her a phone that was new and bright. He brought gifts at the right moments, and he knew how to make those gifts feel like proof of love. I did not compete with that. I could not, and I also did not want to. I told Sophia she could have space for everyone who cared about her. I tried to stay steady. I tried not to look insecure. I thought maturity would protect me. It did not. The shift was slow. It started with small things. Sophia began to correct the way I spoke in front of other people. She would smile and repeat my words with nicer ones, like she was translating me. She began to act tense when I picked her up from school in my old truck. She told me, indirectly, that it looked rough. She asked if I could park farther away. Later, after she went to college and got her first job, the distance became normal. Phone calls became shorter. Visits became maybe next week. When she came by, she would look around my home like she was checking for problems. She would tell me I should update my furniture, update my clothes, update my life. She said it like advice, but it felt like a warning. Like I was becoming a thing she did not want people to see. Harold was always around the big moments: graduation, engagement, new job celebrations. He stood in the best spot for photos. He knew how to place his hand on Sophia's shoulder, so it looked like he belonged there more than anyone else. He also knew how to speak about me without saying my name. He would mention Sophia's support system and her real foundation. People would nod because Harold said it with confidence, and I sat quietly because I did not want to cause a scene. Trevor entered the picture around that time. Trevor is not loud like Harold, but he is not brave either. He floats with the strongest current in the room. He tells you what you want to hear, and he avoids hard choices. At first he called me sir and asked about my work. He acted respectful. Then Sophia and Harold started setting the tone, and Trevor followed it. The first clear line for me was the wedding planning. Sophia wanted a nice wedding, and I understood that. She said she did not want stress. She said she wanted it to be smooth. Harold offered to handle things, but he did it like a show. He spoke about venues and packages and photographers. He spoke as if he was the only adult in the conversation. Sophia asked me to contribute too. She said it in a gentle voice, like she was asking for a favor. I said yes because I wanted her to have a good day. I moved money from savings, the kind of savings built from years of early mornings. No one thanked me in public. Harold made a speech at the reception about how happy he was to give Sophia the day she deserved. People clapped. I sat at a table near the back and smiled. After the wedding, it got worse in practical ways. Sophia and Trevor bought a house they could barely afford. It was bigger than they needed. It was in a neighborhood where people compete with paint colors and holiday lights. Sophia said it was an investment. She said it would grow in value. She said they had to keep up with their peers. Then, one month, she called and said they were short. She said the payment surprised them. She said it was only temporary. She said they would figure it out soon. I said I understood. I sent money. The next month, it happened again. Then again. Soon it became normal. She stopped asking with embarrassment and started asking like it was part of the plan. Sometimes she would not even ask. She would text a short message about what was due and when. I set up automatic transfers because it felt easier than waiting for the next request. I told myself it was safer for them. I told myself it was safer for my grandchild, too, when Sophia later announced she was expecting. But the more I gave, the less I mattered. When I visited the house, Sophia would talk about Harold's advice, Harold's contacts, Harold's taste. She would ask Harold what color to paint the nursery. She would ask Harold what contractor to use, even though I ran crews for decades and could see problems in minutes. When I pointed something out gently, Sophia would say she did not want opinions. She would say she wanted support. There were other small cuts. Family photos where I was asked to take the picture instead of being in it. Weekend plans where I was invited only after Harold confirmed he was busy. Conversations where Sophia used my first name instead of calling me Dad, but she called Harold family with a warm smile. Holiday seating that placed me near the wall, away from the main talk. Little jokes about how I was simple and old-fashioned, said with laughs that made it hard to respond. I tried to adjust. I tried to be useful in ways they would accept. I fixed things. I painted a fence. I replaced a broken lock. I drove across town to drop off groceries when Sophia said she was too busy. I told myself love is action. I told myself pride is not important. Still, the tone became clear. I was not a person in their story. I was a resource. After Thanksgiving, sitting in my kitchen, I opened a closet in my hallway. It is where I keep old photos and papers. I pulled out a box that had Sophia's name on it in my handwriting. Inside were school reports, ribbons, birthday cards, and a few notes she wrote as a child. One of them said she loved me because I always came back, even when I was tired. I held that note for a long time. It felt like holding a different life. My phone buzzed once, and I saw a message from Janet, my sister. Janet is the kind of woman who does not waste words. She asked if I was okay. I did not reply right away. I stared at the screen and thought about how many times I said I was fine when I was not. The next day, I met Janet in a grocery store parking lot because it was quiet and neutral. She got out of her car and looked at me like she was checking for cracks. She told me she heard what happened. She said Sophia had been talking to relatives lately, acting like Harold was the reason Sophia had stability. Janet said people repeat the story they like most, and after a while, they believe it. I told Janet I did not want to fight. I told her I was tired of being managed and placed and minimized. Janet nodded and said I did not have to fight to change my life. She said I just had to stop volunteering for disrespect. As I drove home, I understood something simple. I could not make Sophia respect me by giving more. I could not earn my place at the table by being smaller. If Sophia wanted me gone, she was going to learn what gone really meant. Not with shouting, not with chaos, with distance, with structure, with consequences that do not care about anyone's mood. 2 days after Thanksgiving, I texted Sophia and asked if we could talk in person. I kept the message short. I said I wanted a calm conversation. I said I would meet her near her office, wherever was easy. She replied after a few hours. She said she could do a quick coffee before work. I picked a cafe close to her building. It was clean and bright, with soft music and people typing on laptops. I arrived early and chose a small table near the window. I wanted the talk to feel normal. I wanted it to feel simple. I told myself that parents and children have hard moments. I told myself we could reset. Sophia walked in 10 minutes late. She was dressed like she was going straight into a meeting. Her hair was smooth, her shoes were sharp, and she carried her phone like it was part of her hand. She smiled and sat down, but the smile did not warm her eyes. She asked how I was doing, in a flat tone, like she was reading a line from a script. I said I was fine. Then I told her, quietly, that what she said on Thanksgiving stayed with me. I told her I did not want to argue, I just wanted to understand what she meant. Sophia took a slow breath and looked away for a second. Then she looked back at me and said she was tired. She said the holidays were stressful. She said there were too many emotions and too many expectations. She said she needed things to be easier in her life. I told her I understood stress. I told her I did not expect perfection. I said I only expected basic respect. I said I did not want to be treated like an extra chair. I asked her, in the simplest way I could, if she still wanted me in her life. Sophia's eyes narrowed a little, like she did not like the question. She said she did not want drama. She said she did not want people digging into the past. She said she was building a stable home and she needed stability, not old stories. She said Harold helped her feel stable. She said Harold supported her in ways that were practical. I listened without interrupting. I kept my hands on the table. I noticed how she used certain words: stable, practical, easy. She talked about me like I was a problem to manage, not a person to love. I told her I had been practical too. I reminded her I helped with the house when they were short. I reminded her I drove across town when she needed things. I said I did not say that to claim credit. I said it because I wanted her to see the full picture. Sophia gave a small shrug. She said that was what parents do. She said she never forced me. She said I chose it. Then she leaned forward a little and said something that made the air go colder around the table. She said she needed boundaries. She said it was not good for her to feel guilt every time we talked. She said it was not good for her to feel like she had to perform gratitude. She said she wanted to enjoy her life without feeling pulled back into my feelings. She said the best way was for me to step back. I stared at her for a moment. I did not raise my voice. I did not beg. I just waited, because sometimes people fill silence with truth. Sophia continued. She said she was going to have a child soon, and she wanted the family around her to be calm and modern. She said Harold understood that. She said Harold fit into their world. She did not say that I did not fit, but she did not have to. It was sitting right there between us. Then she said she wanted me to stop coming to events unless she invited me. She said she wanted me to stop dropping by. She said she wanted me to stop trying to give advice. She said she wanted things to be simple. I asked her if she heard herself. I said I was not a stranger asking for access. I said I was her father. I asked her what she would tell her own child one day if someone treated them like this. Sophia's face tightened again. She said she did not want to talk in circles. She said she was late and needed to go. She stood up, picked up her coffee, and said she hoped I would respect her boundaries. Then she walked out like the conversation was a task she completed. I stayed seated and watched the door close behind her. It was not shock that I felt. It was clarity. The conversation did not feel like a fight. It felt like a decision she made a long time ago, and now she was simply saying it out loud. On the drive home, my mind was quiet. I noticed the traffic lights. I noticed the gray sky. I noticed my own breathing. There was no urge to chase her, no urge to send another message. I had spent years trying to earn a place that should have been mine by default. I realized I was done doing that. When I got back to my apartment, I made tea and sat at my kitchen table again. I opened my laptop. I did not open social media. I did not look for comfort. I started with facts. I pulled up my bank history. I went back month by month. I made a simple list of what I had sent to Sophia and Trevor over the years. I did not add emotion to the list. I just wrote dates and amounts. I wrote notes like house payment help or repair, the same way I would mark materials on a job site. I printed nothing. I showed nothing. I just organized it. Then I opened my phone messages with Sophia. I scrolled and took my time. I noticed the change in her tone over the years. Early messages had warmth. Later messages were short and sharp. Many of them were requests with deadlines. I saved them in a folder on my computer with the date and the name. It felt strange to do it. It also felt necessary. I walked to my hallway closet and pulled out the plain folder I kept for important life paperwork. It was not dramatic. It was not secret. It was just where I stored things like insurance forms and old house records. Inside was another folder labeled House Help. I had created it a while back because I like order. I like knowing where things are. I sat down and looked at that label for a long time. This was the moment when the switch happened for real. It was not anger, it was the end of a habit. I had a habit of saving her from consequences. I had a habit of accepting small disrespect because I thought love meant endurance. Now I saw that endurance without boundaries is just permission. I did not decide to hurt anyone. I decided to stop being used. That same evening, Trevor sent a message. He said Sophia was upset. He said I should not take things personally. He said I should give her space and let the holidays pass. He added a line about how Harold was only trying to help. I replied with one sentence. I said I understood. I said I would respect their wishes. I did not argue. I did not explain. I did not ask for fairness. I wanted the message to be clean. After that, I made one phone call. I called Patricia Walsh. Patricia is an attorney who helped me years ago with a property matter, back when Sophia was still in school. She is the kind of person who listens first and speaks second. She does not get pulled into emotion. She stays in process. When she answered, I told her I needed a meeting. I told her it was about family support and boundaries. I told her I wanted to handle things the proper way. I did not give her the whole story on the phone. I only said I was ready to set clear terms for my future. Patricia said she could see me the next day. After the call, I opened my calendar and looked at the reminder that had popped up on Thanksgiving night. It was a simple note I set months earlier. Loan review, confirm options. Back then, I set it because I wanted to check how long I would keep helping with the house. I told myself I would decide later. Now, later had arrived. I wrote down a few more dates on a notepad. Not dramatic plans, just timing, just structure. I wrote down when Sophia would be at work. I wrote down when the next payment was due. I wrote down when I could meet Patricia. Then I closed the notebook and put it away. That night, I slept better than I expected. Not because I felt happy. I did not. I slept because my mind was no longer spinning in confusion. The truth was clear. Sophia wanted me gone, so I stopped trying to be wanted. In the morning, I woke up, washed my face, and put on a clean shirt. I looked like a normal older man going out for errands. I did not look like someone about to change anything. That was fine. I did not need to look powerful. I just needed to be steady. Before I left, I checked my phone one more time. No new messages from Sophia, no apology, no softness, just silence. I turned off the kitchen light, locked my door, and walked to my car with a calm I had not felt in years. The next day, I drove to Patricia Walsh's office. Her building was not tall or flashy. It sat on a quiet street with a small parking lot and a sign that looked the same for years. Inside, the air smelled like paper and coffee. The chairs in the waiting area were plain. It felt like a place where people come to solve problems, not perform. Patricia met me at the door of her office. She was calm, neat, and direct. She did not greet me with big sympathy. She asked me to sit and tell her what happened in the simplest way. That was good for me. I did not need someone to feed my feelings. I needed someone to help me think clearly. I told her about Thanksgiving. I told her about the coffee talk after. I told her how Sophia spoke about boundaries and how she wanted me to step back. I told Patricia that I was ready to step back, but I wanted to do it in a clean and proper way. I said I did not want confusion later. I said I did not want arguments in the future about what I did or did not do. Patricia listened without interrupting. She took notes in a small notebook. Then she asked me questions that felt like a checklist. She asked how long I had been helping them with the house. She asked if the help was regular. She asked what kind of records I had. She asked if I ever sent messages about the purpose of the money. She asked who else knew about it. She asked if there were any promises made in writing. I told her I had bank records and messages. I told her I kept things organized. I told her I never made big speeches, but I did write short notes in my own files. I said I wanted to end the help in a way that could not be twisted into a story where I walked away for no reason. Patricia nodded. She said the best way is always to be boring and precise. She said emotion makes people sloppy. She said systems like dates, receipts, and clear steps. She said if I wanted peace, I needed structure, not debate. She told me to keep my communication short. She told me not to threaten anyone. She told me not to try to win a family argument. She said I should decide what I want and then make sure my actions match that decision. I asked her if I could pay off the mortgage in one clean move and then close the door on the ongoing support. I did not ask that because I wanted praise. I asked because I wanted to know what was possible and what was wise. Patricia said it could be done in a lawful and clear way, but it had to be handled carefully. She said timing matters. She said wording matters. She said delivery matters. She also said I needed to think about what my goal really was. I told her my goal was simple. I wanted my daughter to stop treating me like a tool. I wanted to stop feeling like I had to buy my place in her life. I wanted to step away without begging and without drama. Patricia leaned back in her chair and said she understood. She said she would help me prepare a clean exit from this pattern. She said she would guide me through the steps so it stayed calm, lawful, and clear. She told me to bring her a few things next. She asked for a printout of my transfer history related to the house support. She asked for screenshots of the messages where Sophia asked for help or mentioned deadlines. She asked for any notes I kept about what the money was for. She told me to keep everything in one folder and not mix it with old family photos or personal memories. She said evidence should stay separate from emotion. I drove home and did exactly that. I sat down with my laptop and moved files into one place. I used simple names with dates. I did not write angry comments. I did not add extra words. I just sorted facts. Then I printed the bank history for the relevant months and years. I made copies for Patricia and kept the originals for myself. I also wrote a one-page timeline in plain language. Nothing dramatic. Just this month, this amount, for this reason. When I finished, I looked around my apartment and noticed how quiet it was. No toys on the floor, no music in the other room, no one asking me to fix something. For years, I told myself I was helping Sophia build her home. Sitting there, I realized I had been shrinking my own life to keep her life smooth. That afternoon, I went to the bank. I asked for a private meeting because I did not want to stand at the counter and talk about personal matters. The bank manager, Mara Chen, met me in a small office with a glass wall. She was polite and neutral. She asked how she could help. I told her I wanted to confirm the payoff amount for my daughter's mortgage. I told her I wanted the process to be clean and fast. I told her I wanted written confirmation after it was done. I did not explain my family situation. I did not need to. Mara did not ask. She looked up the loan information and explained the steps in a calm, professional way. She said there would be a final number, including the remaining balance and any daily interest. She said there were specific methods to submit the payoff, and there would be confirmation afterward. She said timing matters, and she asked when I wanted it completed. I told her I wanted it done in a controlled window. I did not want it floating around for days. I said I wanted to plan it with a clear date. Mara said that was reasonable. She gave me a list of what I needed to bring and what I needed to sign. She also offered to schedule a follow-up appointment so everything would be ready. I walked out of the bank with a small folder in my hand. It was not thick. It did not look like revenge. It looked like an older man doing paperwork. That was the truth. The next morning, I went back to Patricia's office with my organized folder. I placed it on her desk and said I had what she asked for. Patricia flipped through it slowly, not rushing. She checked dates. She checked notes. She checked consistency. She asked a few more questions and wrote down my answers. Then she said something that stuck with me. She said people often confuse kindness with obligation. She said some people only respect what they cannot easily take. She said if I wanted to be treated with respect, I needed to stop being the easiest option. Patricia said she would prepare the next steps. She said I should not show anything to Sophia yet. She said I should not hint or threaten. She said the cleanest approach is to let the process speak for itself at the right time. She also told me to keep my daily life calm. She said I should not start acting strange because that makes people suspicious. She said I should act normal and let the systems do the work. I asked her about delivery. I told her I did not want a scene at Sophia's house. I did not want to walk up to her door and argue on the porch. I did not want Harold watching from the window with a smile. I wanted it to be quiet and controlled. Patricia said there are ways to deliver important information without making it a confrontation. She said we would choose a method that creates a clear record of timing. She said I would not need to stand in front of anyone and explain myself in the moment. After the meeting, I went to a shipping and business center that had a notary desk. It was the kind of place that also sells boxes and prints posters. A young clerk greeted me and pointed me to a waiting area. When the notary came out, she checked my identification, asked me to sign in the right spots, and stamped pages with a firm sound. I did not feel dramatic while I signed. I felt steady. I felt like I was finally putting a frame around my life instead of letting other people draw it for me. Later that day, I stopped at a travel website on my laptop and looked at flights. It might sound strange, but I needed distance. Not to run away, to keep my mind clear. I knew if I stayed close, Sophia might pull me back into talking and blaming and guilt. I did not want that. I wanted clean space between their emotions and my decisions. I booked a flight to Hawaii. I had never been. I chose it because it was far enough to feel like a line in the sand. It was also simple: sun, water, quiet mornings. A place where no one knew my role in anyone's family story. That evening, Janet called. She asked how I was holding up. I told her I was calm. I told her I was handling things properly. She asked if I needed her to speak to Sophia. I said no. I said Sophia would only hear what she wanted to hear. I said I did not want Janet caught in the middle. Janet was quiet for a moment. Then she said she was proud of me for choosing peace without begging. She said I had spent too many years being the soft landing for other people's poor choices. I thanked her and changed the subject. Over the next 2 days, I moved through my life like normal. I went for a short walk, I bought groceries, I cleaned my apartment, I answered no messages because there were none worth answering. I kept my phone on, but I stopped checking it every 5 minutes. Then a message arrived in the family group chat. Trevor sent it. He said they wanted to do a post-holiday family meeting. He said it would be good to clear the air. He said it would be quick and respectful. He said they could do it at Sophia's office on Monday since she would already be there. I read the message once. I did not reply. I set my phone down on the table and looked at it like it was a tool I no longer needed to hold all day. Outside my window, the streetlights came on, and the evening settled into place. I poured myself a glass of water, opened my calendar, and quietly adjusted my plans. I did not reply to the group message. I did not want a back and forth. I did not want to explain myself to a room of people who already decided what I am. I read it once, took a breath, and put the phone face down on the table. That night, I made a simple list for myself. I wrote what I needed to pack, what I needed to lock, and what I needed to confirm before I left town. I did not write a speech. I did not write a dramatic note. I treated it like any job where timing matters. When I ran crews, a good plan was quiet. A good plan did not need attention. It just needed to be done. The next morning, I went back to the bank at my scheduled time. Mara greeted me with the same professional calm as before. We reviewed the steps again. She confirmed the payoff process would have a clear completion date and a clear confirmation afterward. She asked me to check the details on screen. I did. I kept my face neutral. Inside, I felt a strange kind of relief. Not joy, relief. Like I had been carrying a heavy box for years and finally set it down on a table with a label. When I left the bank, I sat in my car for a minute before driving away. I watched people walk in and out with their own problems. To them, I was just another older man doing errands. That feeling mattered. It meant my life did not need to be a performance anymore. From the bank, I drove to Patricia's office for a short check-in. She did not waste time. She asked if I had kept my communication quiet. I told her yes. She asked if I had received any new messages. I told her only the group chat note about a meeting at Sophia's office. Patricia nodded and told me not to engage. She said that meetings like that are often designed to pull you into emotion and then paint you as unreasonable. She said it is better to let formal steps speak when the time is right. I asked her if I should send Sophia a message to tell her I would not attend the Monday meeting. Patricia said no. She said silence is also a message. She said I had already agreed to step back. She said stepping back means you do not jump when they call. Before I left, Patricia reminded me of something simple. She said I should not say more than necessary to anyone. She said my words can be repeated and shaped. She said the best line is the one you do not give them. I thanked her and walked out. At home, I packed one carry-on. I kept it basic. A few shirts, one light jacket, comfortable shoes, and my toiletries. I folded each item slowly. I have never been the kind of man who throws things into a bag in panic. Even when my life was busy, I did things one step at a time. I cleaned the apartment before I left. I took out the trash. I washed the dishes. I wiped the counters. I did not do that because I am neat for fun. I did it because I wanted to return to a calm space, no matter what happened. I wanted my home to feel like mine. In the evening, Trevor sent me a private message. He said Sophia wanted closure. He said it would be good for everyone if I came to the Monday meeting. He said it would be respectful. He also said Harold would be there to support Sophia. Trevor wrote that as if it was normal and helpful. I did not answer. I stared at the message for a moment. Then I put my phone down again. I realized that even the word respectful had become a tool in their hands. They used it to tell me what to do. They did not use it to describe how they treated me. The next day I drove to the airport. I parked, checked in, and walked through security with the quiet patience of someone who has waited in many lines in life. Airports always feel the same to me. Bright lights, rolling bags, people moving fast with worried faces. I sat at my gate with my hands folded and watched planes through the windows. I thought about Sophia as a little girl again, not because I wanted to suffer, but because I wanted to be honest with myself. I did love her. I still did. Love does not vanish in one holiday. But love also does not mean I have to stay in a place where I am treated like a problem. When my boarding group was called, I stood and walked onto the plane. I sat by the window and looked out at the runway. When the plane lifted off, my stomach shifted slightly. The city got smaller, the roads became lines, then it was just clouds. In the air, I turned my phone to a quiet setting. I was not trying to punish anyone by disappearing. I was protecting my own mind. I did not want to spend the flight reading messages that would pull me into arguments I did not plan to have. When I landed, warm air hit my face in a way that felt almost unreal after weeks of cold weather. I took a shuttle to my hotel. The lobby smelled like clean towels and flowers. People wore light clothes and spoke softly. No one looked at me like I was a role in a family story. I was simply a guest checking in. I went to my room, set my bag down, and stood at the window. I could see palm trees moving slowly in the wind. I could hear distant voices outside, relaxed and unhurried. I took a deep breath and let my shoulders drop. That first night, I ate a simple meal and went to bed early. I slept through the night without waking up to check my phone. In the morning, I woke up before sunrise. I put on my shoes and walked toward the beach. The sky was dim and soft. The water moved with a steady sound that made my thoughts slow down. I sat on a bench and watched the horizon brighten. It is hard to explain, but in that moment I felt like time belonged to me again. For years, my time belonged to Sophia's needs, Sophia's deadlines, Sophia's quick requests. Now my time was quiet. Later that day, I checked my phone for confirmations only. I did not scroll. I did not chase updates. I looked for the small signs that the steps were moving the way they should. I saw a few notifications and then closed the screen again. Sophia posted a photo online that afternoon. It was her and Harold, smiling in a bright room with a caption about family and gratitude. My name was not there. I did not feel surprised. I felt calm. When someone shows you who they are, you do not need to argue with it. In the evening, the family group chat lit up again. Sophia wrote that she hoped everyone could be present on Monday. Harold added a message about doing the right thing and moving forward. Trevor added a short note agreeing with them. I watched the messages come in like rain on a window. I did not respond. I went downstairs and sat in the lobby with a book I barely read. I watched other families come and go. Some looked happy, some looked tired, some looked like they were pretending. I realized every family has stories they tell about themselves. Mine had turned into a story where I was useful but not valued. The next morning, I walked the beach again. The light was brighter and more people were out. A man jogged past with headphones. A couple took photos near the water. A child chased birds near the sand. Life moved on without caring about my private problem. That was comforting in a strange way. Back in my room, I opened my calendar and looked at the time difference. Monday morning back home would be late Sunday night for me. I did the math and wrote down the exact times on a notepad. I did not want confusion. I did not want to miss anything that mattered. That afternoon, I got a short text from Janet. She asked if I was safe and if I was eating. I told her yes. I told her I was calm. Janet replied that she was thinking of me. Then she added that Sophia had been calling relatives, telling them I was being distant and stubborn. Janet said she did not correct Sophia. She said she only listened. She said the truth does not need a loud voice. I thanked Janet and put the phone down. I sat on the edge of the bed and looked at the wall for a moment. I understood that Sophia was already shaping the story, just like Patricia warned. Sophia wanted the world to think she was the reasonable one and I was the problem. That was fine. Stories are easy. Systems are not. As the weekend moved toward Monday, I stayed quiet. I kept my days simple. I ate, I walked, I rested. I checked my phone only at planned times. I did not try to guess what Sophia would say in the meeting. I did not try to imagine Harold's voice or Trevor's nervous smile. I had done enough imagining for a lifetime. On Sunday evening, I set my phone on the desk and plugged it in. I placed my notepad beside it with the times written clearly. Then I turned off the room lights and sat in the dark for a minute, listening to the distant sound of waves through the window. I did not feel fear. I felt ready. Monday came faster than I expected, even with the time difference. In Hawaii, it was still dark when my phone lit up on the hotel desk. I had set it there on purpose, plugged in, with my notepad beside it. I wanted everything clean, no confusion, no rushing. The caller ID showed Patricia Walsh. I answered on the first ring. She said she was in position. She said Sophia, Trevor, and Harold were already in a conference room at Sophia's office. She said the envelope had been delivered to the front desk earlier that morning and was now on Sophia's desk. She asked if I was ready to be on speaker for a few minutes. I told her yes. I sat on the edge of the bed and put my feet flat on the floor. I kept my voice steady. I did not want to sound excited or bitter. I wanted to sound like myself. Patricia said she was opening the conference room door. I heard the soft echo of office space. Then I heard chairs shifting and someone clearing their throat. Patricia introduced herself, and I heard Sophia respond in a tight, polite voice. Harold spoke after that, louder, with the kind of confidence he always carried into rooms. Trevor said hello in a smaller voice. Sophia asked why Patricia was there. She said this was meant to be a family conversation. Patricia replied that Sophia had asked for boundaries and structure, and this was the cleanest way to do it. Then Patricia said the envelope on Sophia's desk was from me and that it should be opened before anyone spoke further. I heard paper slide across a table. I heard the sound of an envelope being torn, careful at first, then faster when impatience took over. Sophia said she expected a letter. She said she did not expect a packet. Harold made a short sound like he found that amusing. Then the room went quiet in the way it does when people start reading and realize the page is not telling the story they wanted. Sophia said she was looking at a mortgage payoff confirmation. Her voice changed on that sentence. The words came out slower. She asked if it was real. Patricia replied that it was real and that the bank could confirm it directly. Patricia said the payoff had been processed with a completion date and a formal confirmation number. I heard Trevor inhale sharply. He asked why I would do that. He said I did not need to. Harold spoke over him and said it was generous, and he said the family should be grateful. He tried to sound in control, like this was still his stage. Patricia told them to keep reading. Sophia said there was another page titled Notice of Termination of Ongoing Support. She read the title out loud like she could not believe it was there. She said it mentioned the monthly transfers and the timing. She asked if that meant the automatic help was stopping. Patricia said yes. She said the ongoing transfers were ending, effective immediately, and that this matched Sophia's request for me to step back. Sophia said she never asked me to stop helping with the house. Patricia replied that Sophia did ask me to step back and stop being part of her daily life unless invited, and that this was a practical boundary that removed the ongoing dependence. Harold made a quiet laugh and said boundaries are good. Then he added that Sophia and Trevor did not need my money anyway. He said they were doing fine. Patricia told them to keep reading. Sophia turned a page and went silent for a longer moment. Then she said my name in a flat, careful voice. She said there was a copy of a deed. She said it showed my name on the title as a co-owner. She said she remembered signing something years ago, but she thought it was temporary. She asked what this meant now. Patricia answered in a calm tone. She said when Sophia and Trevor bought the home, I contributed a large portion of the down payment and the first costs, and I required a share of ownership for protection. Patricia said it was recorded properly and had been recorded the entire time. She said this was not new. It was simply ignored because I never used it. Sophia said Harold told her I did not have any real claim. She said Harold told her it was just help, and I could not ever hold it over them. Harold's voice tightened. He said he never said that. He said Sophia was confused. He said everyone should focus on the payoff, not technical paperwork. Patricia replied that ownership is not a technical detail. She said it is a fact. Trevor asked, very quietly, what share it showed. Patricia stated the percentage as if she was reading a label, not delivering a threat. I heard Sophia's chair move, as if she leaned back suddenly. Sophia said I was supposed to be her father, not a business partner. Patricia said I was her father, and I had acted like one for many years, including in ways that harmed my own stability. Patricia said the ownership share existed because I wanted to help without risking my own future. She said the share was my protection in case the relationship ever turned into something transactional. Harold tried to speak again, but Sophia cut him off. She asked Patricia why this was being brought up now. Patricia said there was another page that explained it. I heard paper turn again, slower this time. Sophia read the heading out loud. It was a request for buyout or sale. She paused on the words, or sale, like they tasted bitter. She asked if I was forcing them to sell their home. Patricia answered carefully. She said the notice gave them two options. She said they could choose to buy out my share at a fair value based on an appraisal within a set deadline. Or, if they refused to cooperate, my office would begin a standard property process to resolve co-ownership. Patricia said the payoff removed the bank's lien and made the ownership issue simpler to resolve. Sophia asked if I planned this. Patricia said I planned it the moment Sophia made it clear that my presence was unwanted, but my support was expected. Harold said this was cruel. He said it was a trap. He said it was punishment. Patricia replied that it was not a trap. She said it was the natural result of years of financial dependence mixed with public disrespect. She said I had the right to end ongoing support and the right to stop being treated as a background resource. Sophia's voice rose for the first time. She said I was doing this because of one comment at Thanksgiving. Patricia said it was not one comment. She said it was a pattern, and the comment was simply the moment the pattern became undeniable and public. Then Patricia told them there was a personal letter included from me. She said it was separate from the notices and written in plain language. I heard Sophia unfold a page. I heard her breathing change as she read. Then she spoke in a quiet voice, reading parts aloud without meaning to. She said the letter stated that I accepted her request for distance. It said I would no longer attend events unless invited. It said I would not drop by. It said I would not offer advice. It said I would not compete for a seat at a table where I was treated like a problem. It said I wished them stability and peace, and I was choosing those things for myself too. Sophia stopped reading. She asked directly if I was on the call. Patricia said yes, and she said I had been listening. Sophia said she did not understand why I would pay off the mortgage and then do this. She said if I wanted to step back, I could have just stepped back. She said the payoff made no sense. I spoke for the first time. I kept my voice calm and even. I said I paid it off because I did not want loose ends. I said I did not want to be tied to monthly deadlines and last-minute messages. I said I wanted the support to end cleanly, not with a missed payment and a panic call. I said I was closing a chapter in the most straightforward way I knew. Trevor asked if this meant they had to come up with a large amount to buy out my share. I said the notice explained the timeline. I said I was not asking for special treatment. I said I was asking for a fair resolution. I said I had been fair for a long time, quietly, and I would continue to be fair through formal steps. Sophia said Harold promised her I would never do anything like this. Harold snapped that he did not promise anything. He said Sophia was twisting his words. He said this was still family, and I was making it cold. I said, still calmly, that it became cold when I was told the best gift would be for me to be gone. I said I listened. I said I took it seriously. I said I removed myself the way they asked. I said I also removed the assumption that my support would keep flowing no matter how I was treated. There was a long silence after that. Even Harold did not fill it. The room felt different through the phone, like a balloon losing air. Patricia broke the silence with process. She said an appraisal request was already scheduled. She said her office would send the appraiser's contact information and the proposed dates. She said all communication should go through her office going forward, as Sophia wanted. She said the deadline for a buyout decision was written clearly. She said if Sophia and Trevor wanted to keep the home, they needed to act within the stated time. Sophia asked what would happen if they could not do it. Patricia replied that the notice explained the next step. She said it would be handled through standard channels and would not depend on anyone's feelings. Trevor asked if there was any way to just talk and fix this without paperwork. Patricia said talking had been available for years, and it had produced only more dependence and less respect. She said paperwork creates clarity. Sophia's voice cracked slightly when she said she did not think I would actually leave. She said she thought I would cool off and come back. She said she thought I would always come back. I did not answer with a speech. I only said I did come back for many years. I said I came back so often that it trained everyone to think I had no limits. I said I had limits now. Harold tried one last time to take control. He said he would handle it. He said he had contacts. He said he would make sure Sophia was protected. Patricia replied that this was not about contacts or appearances. She said it was about recorded ownership and formal deadlines. Then Patricia said the meeting was over. She said Sophia and Trevor could review the packet again in private and contact her office with their decision. She thanked them for their time in a tone that sounded like the end of a business call. Sophia said my name once more, softer, like she wanted to pull me back into the old pattern. I did not argue. I did not comfort. I simply said I hoped she chose the option that fit her life best. Then I told Patricia I was done speaking. Patricia ended the call. The speaker clicked off. The room on the other side went silent, and I could almost feel them staring at the pages on the table. I set my phone down, still warm from the call, and I stared at it for a moment like it was a door I had finally closed with my own hand. Then I turned it off completely.